In a survey conducted by Workopolis journalists, they asked 327 employers how tattoos would affect their hiring process. The results came in, and what they found out was that 14% said that somebody who had tattoos, it would affect their chances of getting a position. 23% said that it wouldn't have any effect on them getting a job, and the rest actually said that it depended on the location, size, and how many tattoos the person actually had. So that left 77% of employers in this survey who will or might be less likely to hire somebody if they have tattoos. So what I have here is a picture actually of famous musician Post Malone, and on the left side you can see what he normally looks like with the tattoos on his face, and then on the right side you see where someone actually photoshopped all the tattoos off of his face. So what I want you to do is just ask yourself, if you were doing the hiring for a company and these two gentlemen walked in, who would you be more inclined to hire? The Post Malone with tattoos or Post Malone without? And honestly, I can say that I feel like most people would say that they would hire the Post Malone without tattoos. But why is this? Why do we already perceive that the Post Malone without tattoos is going to do a better job than the Post Malone with tattoos? So what I did is I wanted to look at where that negative stigma actually came from. And what I found is that in earlier times, a lot of people felt like tattoos were really just for convicts or troublemakers, and of course sailors. You always think of Popeye the Sailor Man. He's got the anchor tattoo. Even if you watch SpongeBob SquarePants, Mr. Krabs, he's known as a sailor. He rolls his sleeve up on a couple episodes, and he has an anchor tattoo as well. So you already associate that, the sailor, the anchor tattoo. But what I wanted to find is, was there a correlation with people who have tattoos and mental illness, or that negative behavior, that negative emotion? And because some people actually feel that people who have tattoos have low self-esteem or do have mental health issues. And what I found was that researchers at the University of Miami conducted a survey of 2,000 U.S. adults, and they discovered a correlation between the tattoos and the mental health issues. And these mental health issues vary from PTSD, anxiety, depression, and even suicide. And another was done by the University of Rochester Medical Center in 2001 that found that adolescents with tattoos were more likely to get in trouble. And that, smoking cigarettes, premarital sex, binge drinking, serious fights, poor grades, being kicked out of school. So it's a wide variety of, offenses there. And so with this negative perception that we all have, and not everybody has in their mind, but that some people have in their mind of tattoos, how does this actually affect somebody getting and then maintaining their job? And so it seems that tattoo placement is the big deal. It's the big kicker, where a lot of employers feel that if you have tattoos that you can see, then that could possibly be a problem. But if you have tattoos where otherwise, if you have your clothes off, you're not going to see, obviously an employer won't even know, and that's not a problem. So it's really the tattoos that everybody can see while you're still fully clothed. So, the face tattoos, hand tattoos, neck tattoos. And the reason is they don't want customers to come in and see you and think that, and taint their company image, or have customers think that you're for something. If somebody has maybe a gang-affiliated tattoo or a swastika, I'm not saying that that person would even get hired at a job anyways, but they don't want that to come back on their company. And people were actually, from what I found with my research, is that people feel that if you have a lot of tattoos, that you're actually more, you're less economically stable than somebody with tattoos. And the University of Miami actually did another survey on this, and they surveyed another 2,000 people in the United States, adults, and found that they were no less likely to be employed than somebody without tattoos. And the same goes for the bank accounts, that people with tattoos weren't less financially stable than people with tattoos. So it went both ways, and I found this interesting, and so I did some research, and I wanted to find if I could find a millionaire or a billionaire, the upper elite of the world, if they have tattoos. And I actually couldn't find any pictures. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. I couldn't find anything of Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Cuban, if they have any tattoos. And I'm sure that there are millionaires, billionaires that have tattoos, but they're just not famous people. This takes out of the superstars of the world. The actors, the singers, the athletes, because they're beyond the exception. I'm talking about people who work in the corporate world. to make their money. And there's actually a notion or conspiracy that the whole you can't have tattoos and have a job, or tattoos that show and have a job, are because of back in the day, minorities were actually seen to have more tattoos than people who were just, natural born, I guess, U.S. citizens. So what they did is they came up with this policy, especially around the time that, the Civil Rights Act happened, where they were trying to, get everybody to, work together and get along better. So this would actually give, the white-owned businesses, if the black man came in and he had a tattoo, it would give them a reason to decline him a job position based on his tattoos, not his race, when really the race was the problem. It's really not hard to think that could have really happened, that it's not far-fetched as a conspiracy that could have been the reason that actually came around for a lot of companies. And companies today still enforce this on a lot of people, especially if you work in the medical field, you're a teacher, a law firm, in the government. They still make you cover your tattoos with, an armband or a cloth of some sort so that they're not seen. And, the perception, for tattoos, it can go both ways. So, if you think about the President of the United States, his White House press secretary, if the White House press secretary was out there and, they were covered in tattoos, what would that make you think then? Just based off those tattoos, would you think that president then is more hip, more youth, in with the youth, more rad? Or would that make you take him less serious than if the White House press secretary didn't have any tattoos? So it definitely goes both ways. Before I finish this up, I just wanted to quickly say, I don't have a problem with tattoos at all. I didn't want this to come off as me, not liking tattoos, because I don't have any tattoos, but I would if it wasn't for my indecisiveness. I'm not, wanting to have something on my body forever. I just can't ever pick one out that I'd be comfortable with for the rest of my life. I know people with tattoos, they do every bit of good work that somebody without tattoos would do. It really doesn't affect them in any way. And tattoos right now are more popular than ever. With actually 40% of millennials have at least one tattoo. And with this, as the years go on, these people will take the corporate world. They'll get those bigger jobs, those boss jobs. And I honestly think, in 20 years, it's not crazy to think that you having to cover your tattoos up will actually be phased out. And we're actually seeing it already. At Starbucks, they recently passed it where their employees can have, their tattoos uncovered, their piercings. So you're already seeing it today that companies are actually starting to change and letting people express themselves with their body art. And Fortune 500 companies right now, they might still be stuck in those old norms of people not having tattoos that you can see and having to cover them up. But really, in the next few years, I don't think it's going to be a problem anymore, and it's not even going to be something that people talk about. But thank you for your time, and